Hello and welcome. My name is Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo Story, our digital platform that has been relentlessly reporting the COVID-19 pandemic and its aftermath from the ground from across India. We're on the program today on the rare day that we're actually inside a studio and in the national capital. The big controversy is over Covishield versus Astrazeneca. Now, did you think they were the same? So did I. Let's bring up these pictures to focus on the big story today. India has reacted sharply at the failure to find inclusion for Covishield in the European Union Green Pass. The foreign minister has gone on social networks to say that he is negotiating with individual countries to have authorization for Covishield, which is really the same as AstraZeneca, except that it is manufactured by the Serum Institute in India. Individual countries have now said, after hard back-channel negotiations, that they will recognize Covishield, but this is not the same as a European Union Green Pass. Some are calling this modern-day racism. It definitely appears to be an extremely discriminatory practice. We do have countries like Germany, for example, who have said that they will recognize Covishield, but at the same time said that travel restrictions in place hold. Now, if travel restrictions hold, what does it mean to actually recognize Covishield? Remember, India has warned of reciprocal quarantining of European Union citizens if this discriminatory practice continues in not placing Covishield at the same level as AstraZeneca. On the program today live, we have a very special guest, Germany's top diplomat to India, Germany's ambassador to India. In fact, German Ambassador Walter Lindner is on the program. For anyone who follows him, he's also not a studio-bound person like us. You often see him out and about in some of the most obscure and remote parts of India, and also posts very interesting photographs of his travel out and about in Germany. So welcome to the program, Ambassador. Explain to us your tweet. When I first read your tweet saying Germany has decided to recognize Covishield, which is, by the way, approved by the World Health Organization, that was good news. But then at the same time, you said that the travel restrictions will continue to be in place. So what does it actually mean to recognize Covishield then?
Well, Barkha, it's good to be on your show, and I thought rather I see you in Chandni Chowk than here in the studio, but now here in the studio.
Next time we'll go to Chandni Chowk together. I'll give you a tour of Chandni Chowk.
Let's do that. Well, I think if you see the big picture, the numbers in the world of the virus, they go down. Yes, this is true. We have some pockets where they're still going up, but they go down. But so if in a normal world, we would be closer to a normalization than we are at the moment, where there are not these mutations. And the mutations, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and delta plus, they cause problems and they cause raising eyebrows everywhere in the world. So there are a lot of countries who have imposed restrictions, to fight against that, restrictions, travel restrictions. And if you follow the news, then you see the Singapore and Sydney and Portugal and Russia and the UK and many countries, including India, are now considered as virus variant countries. Now, this is the balance which we had to strike, which we did, which India did also and in other countries since 1.5 years, is on one side to keep the country open, to keep the economy flowing, the students going back and forth, but on the other side, to protect the population. The population, not only German citizens, but also Indians who live in Germany. So this balance between protection, being careful on one side, and on the other side, keeping the country open and the flow of people and goods open is a continuous one. Now, the travel ban is, of course, something which is a harsh measure, but virologists and pandemiologists and health experts say this is the only way to prevent a massive influx of this new mutants of the virus. This can, as long as we don't have enough data and studies are not yet totally reliable about uncertainty of the vaccine protection against the new variant. Could variants breach the vaccination shield? Are they more transmissible? Are they more virulent? Are they causing more serious ICU treatments? Unless we don't get a green light from them, it's difficult to lift these travel bans. So that's why it's a complicated matter that we consider many possibilities of traveling, but for some countries there are some restrictions, and this is something which also touches.
I get that, but what I don't get is why AstraZeneca and Covishield should be considered any different in the protection that they offer against the Delta variant. So I know the United Kingdom, for example, is in similar negotiations. Angela Merkel is to meet Boris Johnson to discuss exactly what I'm asking you. And the question is exactly this, that if we believe that the AstraZeneca/Covishield vaccine offers, efficacy against the Delta variant, then it shouldn't matter whether it's AstraZeneca or Covishield, because if you're still going to quarantine people coming in from India, then that means there's no difference between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated.
That's what we think too. Totally right. That's why there's no difference. So that's why Germany, yesterday we have put it out on the social media. We have decided in the German government that for us this is the same. So AstraZeneca and Covishield is the same. It doesn't imply that you can, as Indian citizen, or now travel to Europe, because there's the travel ban still. But once you are in Europe, and let's say master students who are now entitled already to go to Europe, or Indians who live in Germany, they have now the same privileges coming out of this double vaccinations as me or as others. And this is due to, and every European country has the free decision will now to decide this. Some countries, according to their scientists, say, well, for us it's a bit difficult. We said we can do it, and that's why we decided it. This is the AstraZeneca and this is the Covishield, because this is a WHO approved vaccination. With Covaxin, it's a bit different because there's not yet the process coming to an end there. Once this is approved by the WHO, then we will see what's the next step. But now we're talking about Covishield, and for us, it's acceptable.
Yeah. So let me ask you more simply. I've got 2 vaccines. Both were Covishield. If I would like to travel to Germany, will I still have to institutionally quarantine?
Yes, because even I have to do it. I have also both Covishield, so we are in the same boat. If we are traveling to Europe, I can do it because of a German passport. You, maybe for the profession, you could travel as well, but let's say as a first-time student or a tourist from India cannot yet travel to Germany. But one day, or when you travel now and you are allowed to travel because you're a journalist, then you would have to go 2 weeks not in an institution, in a hotel or something, and you are quarantined 2 weeks. Me too. Last week I was in Germany for attending a funeral of a good friend. I had to fly in 2.5 weeks before that, isolate myself, not even going for shopping, no way of testing and setting yourself free. No, there's 2 weeks for everyone who is allowed to come to Germany. And after these 2 weeks, I could go to the funeral, and then the next day I flew back. So this is a very painstaking process, and I can't wait until we stop this, but it's still our experts.
But most people don't have these 2 weeks, right? Or they do not have the resources to pay for a hotel for 2 weeks. Most people don't have that kind of infrastructural support. My question is this: vaccines were meant to be the beginning of the reopening of the world, and we understand that there's concern about the Delta variant, but all research so far shows that although there's some reduced protection with the Delta variant, there is still protection. The United Kingdom, for example, when Merkel meets with Johnson, this is going to be exactly, I think, the argument that the United Kingdom is going to put forth, that they have opened, they continue to be opening their country, and they're arguing that their data does show them that the vaccine does offer protection against hospitalizations and deaths when it comes even to the Delta variant.
Well, yes and no. It's true that vaccination, all the studies show that vaccination is very useful even against the Delta plus. We don't have data yet, but I think it's not only that you get infected, but you infect other people. So it could be also that you are going there and maybe you get a very mild infection, but you can transmit it to people who are not vaccinated. So the more people are vaccinated in a country, has also an effect of whether you have to go in quarantine or whether we maintain the quarantine or not. I'm not a scientist, but I have to rely on these researchers and these people who tell us, are the studies, are the data enough which show us that the quarantine is not necessary anymore, or is it still necessary? If you see to France, if you see to Italy, it's everywhere it's necessary. They go to the quarantine. In Germany, we have 2 weeks. In France, I guess they have 10 days or so, but it's the same principle. And in Italy, it's also the same principle. So I think there is not one common expert opinion on the efficiency of vaccines against the Delta. Once they get them, and I'm hopeful they get them soon in the next weeks or so, then of course we can think about doing away with these measures, and then maybe the double vaccination would be enough to come to a country, and you could come and say, that's it, no.
I mean, I would think the more logical way, and I'm not a scientist either, so I'm just speaking as a layperson, that the most logical way would be that you have, 2 vaccines and you have an RT-PCR test on arrival. If it's a long trip, you make it mandatory to do 2 tests while you're there, and then you push the person into isolation. Here, I think the concern is that this would just be never ending, because there could be constant variants and the world would then remain constantly shut down. My question to you, Ambassador, is this: how do you respond to India now sort of saying that we will have reciprocal quarantining for European Union citizens, if Covishield is not recognized? I know individual countries such as Germany have recognized it, but the quarantine remains. Tomorrow, India could say the same thing for people coming in, saying, hey, even if you've got the Pfizer, if you're coming in, let's say from the UK, you've got to go into quarantine. I mean, I'm just giving an example.
Yeah, but the point is, we impose this quarantine to each and everyone who comes from those countries which are very high in the mutation quantity, be it from Brazil, South Africa, India, Nepal, and these countries. Now, this has a scientific reason. We put people like you and me, when we arrive there, into a quarantine. Now, it's not a question of reciprocity, or it's medical indicated opinion of our experts. That's why we do that, and for no other reason. And at the moment these people tell us it's not necessary anymore, then we lift it. I agree what you say. Logical thinking. I have learned during the last 10 months or so that my brain was working like yours, logic, but it's not always the same if you talk to epidemiologists or pandemiologists, or they have different ways of seeing dangers, seeing how to protect the population and whatever. So it's, I think I have to trust these people, and this is not only in Germany, but they are in France and in Italy and other places.
So are you disappointed? Are you disappointed with India's move? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Do you understand it?
No. I mean, why disappointed? I mean, I think, it's not that with such a green pass of the European Union, you would be granted entry in a European country. It's not. We have the travel ban still, and so the reciprocity is then, if you are in, like you or other Indians are in Europe, they can freely travel. Now, if they say only if you let us freely travel, then we can let you freely travel here. I mean, then it's a different thing. But we are not in the stage yet where we have lifted the travel ban. I think once the travel ban is lifted, I think then it will be much clearer. And until then, I think many European countries will do the same step as we did, open up for Covishield, so that the Indians who are already in Europe can enjoy all the privileges as we enjoy.
The other sort of slightly confusing and I might say misleading dimension to this debate was the European Medical Agency saying the Serum Institute had not even applied for emergency use authorization. Now that would apply to the Serum Institute, which is the Indian company that manufactures Covishield, as far as I understand, wanting to vaccinate people in the EU with Covishield. For travel, I don't imagine that the Serum Institute is required to go to the European Medical Agency at all.
That's what I'm saying. We said if it's a WHO approved vaccination like Covishield, then you don't have to do anything there. We accept it because it's the WHO. For the European passport, since it's a European institution and a European medical agency, they maybe have their own internal regulations saying, well, but if we put it in our passport, you would have to make your application there. So I think there it's rather your correspondent in Brussels talks to them and sees what's the precondition there. Did they apply? Have they applied yet? Will they apply? But until then, for many more countries, it won't be much relevant because as Germany and as 3, 4, 5 other countries already, we have already opened for Covishield, so you can travel anyway.
So you opened for Covishield, but that is only a relief to Indians who are already within the European Union, not for people who want to, let's say, travel from India. What happens to students or divided families?
You know, Germany has the highest number of students, Indian students in Europe. It's interesting and astonishing. One would think that it's in the UK because of the English. It's not. We have 25,000 students there. It's maybe because of the quality of the universities, and it's for free, you know. And we have a very international community of many foreigners. So that's why 25,000 people study. They're not only the technical studies, engineering, whatever, but many other things. So we are proud to have them. We are happy to have them. Now we have a lot of masters and you know, super advanced people there. They can travel back and forth, and even if they're caught here in a holiday and were caught by the lockdown, they can travel back. So there's no issue. The issue is for first-time students because they don't have a residency yet, and so for them it's not yet possible to travel. Not for them, and not for the normal, let's say, job seekers and for tourists. For them, still the travel ban is there. But from now on, we have today on, we also accept the visa application of these first-time students. We have not accepted it yet because we thought it might take too long until we can lift the travel ban. But I think it's fair to accept it now. We do this and to save time because we take the applications. We can't process them yet fully because there's a travel ban. But once the travel ban is lifted, and hopefully this happens soon, then we save time. And they just have to bring the passports and so that's something we do for the students. But until then, they have to be patient. We don't want to lose them. We are very happy to come, but they have to understand that the striking of the balance between protecting and keeping us open for them, you know, at the moment is still in the process of being analyzed, and it might take a few more weeks.
Restrictions will be lifted soon, and I think what we want to ask him is, of course, what might that timeline be? Ambassador, you know, you said that you've started taking visa applications even for first-time travelers, and that is extremely good news. But you know, you were talking about saving time, and you were talking about a travel ban. It's important to emphasize right now that an air bubble does exist between our countries, if I'm not wrong. So that option is there to actually travel. There are flights, just not commercially. When do you think you know, you could see a lifting of the travel ban, and what would be the conditions that would have to be met? Because it isn't just our country. As I said, the United Kingdom will be negotiating for exactly the same, because the majority of their population is vaccinated with Astrazeneca, and also they have, you know, reasonable cases of the Delta variant in the UK as well.
Well, you see, the case of the UK is already an example that things can go very well, and then because of the variation of the virus, things are slipping back again, or same as Portugal or Russia and these countries. So that's why I think the travel ban decision, it's not only it's not a German decision, it's an Indian decision, and it's a European decision. It's a travel ban where we have it's theoretically it's evacuation flights still, you know. So this is a kind of, they're not commercial. They are special flights which have to be applied for every month. The Indian side does it, the German side, the France does, and the KLM does. So it is not a normal travel situation, but not only in between Europe and India, but in the whole world. If you want to travel to Asia, it's almost impossible at the moment. So I think this will be, of course, be lifted, but carefully, because once you lift it, then the danger is, of course, that the joy you have for the first few weeks is paid dearly by research of the numbers. And I guess that's why Mr. Puri and Minister and others are very careful in doing away with the air bubble and opening for commercial flight. We would be in favor of it, but I think we all around the globe have to be careful that we don't do this too early. Once it's done, it will be a big relief for everyone.
But do you not think as we, yeah, I get that, but do you not think as we close, just a last question, that for the world to reopen, the inevitable, despite the great inequity and large parts of the world not having the vaccine, a vaccine passport effectively is the only way for borders to open again. And therefore, people who are vaccinated just assume the WHO recognized vaccine, maybe another RT-PCR test should be enough. I mean, if it isn't, the world's never going to open up again.
Well, it's true. I mean, the vaccination around the globe is crucial. That's why we have set up or help set up the COVAX, which is an institution of a platform of vaccines for all of the world, Africa and Latin America and many countries, and also part of India, to provide for free these vaccines around the globe. This is, of course, something which is one of the lessons out of this pandemic, that we have to be much faster, much better, and much more, keeping up the raw material supply chains, and so much topics which we have to urgently look at. And you're right, only if we all have the vaccination around the globe, this will be, and we will never have, but there will always be 10, 20, 30% which don't have.
Yeah.
Then we might have another pandemic. So maybe this is the future of mankind, that we have to live with this kind of shocks every now and then. So we better be prepared. Vaccines, research, transfer of technology, and all these topics. And I think we all learn from this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think there's only, I said on Twitter the other day that stasis may kill us before the pandemic does. I mean, because there might be no end to the mutations of this particular virus. But you're right, we have to hope that as it mutates, it weakens instead of worsens. Thank you, Ambassador Walter Lindner. And next time, definitely Chandni Chowk or somewhere else. I'm doubly vaccinated, so are you, with our masks on. Hope to give you more of a sense of it. Yeah, see you, and thanks for talking to us. Thank you very much.
See you soon, Barkha, and see you soon.
Thank you. And it's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.